Tapos na ang 30 taong paghihintay ng bansa matapos na ang kininang Perlas ng Pilipinas Women's Basketball Team ang titulo sa kauna-unahang pagkakataon sa idinaos na 7th Siaba Women's Championship sa Ninoy Aquino Stadium. Labis ang kagalakan ng buong koponan sa tinamong tagumpay matapos na agawan ng corona ang defending champion Thailand sa score na 76-54. Anong pakiramdam mo ngayon na tagumpay kayo dito sa Siaba?
Hindi ko ma-explain. Masaya! Sa wakas, nagawa din namin. Yun, lahat ng mga former basketball na national team para sa amin lahat to. Yun, sobrang saya. 2 beses sa isang araw, sa sobrang gusto namin, ilang beses kaming nasa finals, tapos natatalo kami ng Thailand, yung dikit, tapos ngayon, eto na, tambak, talagang pinatunayan namin na #1 ang Pilipinas.
Nanguna para sa tinaguriang best team ever assembled, ang small but terrible point guard na si Joan Grajales.
Thank you sa kapwa naming Pinoy na sumusuporta, lalo na sa SBP, PSC, tapos yung manager namin na sobrang the best manager.
Ramty para sa UNTV News Worldwide. At ito ang balita.
Hello everyone and welcome to Gold Diggers, a show where we discuss stories of leadership and motivation, with sports serving as a metaphor dedicated to daily grinders, corporate athletes, and go-getters. I'm your host Carlos Pineda, your resident box-to-box midfielder or point forward transitioning from esports to football and vice versa. In the previous episode, we had a conversation with Gilas Pilipinas head coach Jong Wichico, who taught us his tips on adapting to change, where it begins with embracing the change, mixed with resilience and grit, and finding that right mentor. And I wouldn't be able to appreciate his championship-filled journey if it weren't for my fellow gold diggers. Let's welcome all of them, Simone, Relly, and Robbie.
Hi teammates, Simone here. It's our last episode for Season 1 and for the year. And we're very happy that we have this chance to conclude it with someone who is contributing so much to bringing women's basketball forward and is also someone whose efforts are raising the bar for Philippine sports. So really, what else do you think our teammates can expect from this episode?
Hey guys, welcome again to another episode of Gold Diggers, our last episode for the year. So happy for you guys to be here. And again, of course, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Very excited for our episode tonight. We have one of the most notable coaches and I can say one of the movers and shakers for women's basketball. You wouldn't want to miss this. This is women power and of course basketball being the country's favorite sport, and you know, just tune in and listen more. Robbie, care to reveal who our special?
Thanks, Rels. Yes, so Christmas in a week, and we get another early present this time with a conversation that we have with another kindred individual, fellow gold digger, and one of the most respected personalities, not just in basketball, but definitely in women's sports. So Coach Haydee's in the house, and we hope you stay tuned as we dig into how Coach Haydee can teach us a thing or two about how to change a culture. So back to you, Carlos.
It's a pleasure to have my fellow gold diggers in the show. All right, now let's proceed to the main event, introducing our guest. She has always been driven to succeed, as seen when she brought the University of Santo Tomas 4 straight UAP championships as a player. And this garnered her a stint to serve the women's national team from 1986 until 1993. Eventually, she transitioned to coaching when she joined the women's national team in 1996 and made that transition to the head coaching job in 2008, which propelled her to win the gold medal at the 2010 Siaba Championships for women and silver medals at the 2011 and 2013 Southeast Asian Games. Her winning ways carried on in her collegiate coaching stints, where she led Enderun on their first National Athletic Association of Schools, Colleges, and Universities, or NAASCU for short, in 2016, and this likewise gave her the Coach of the Year accolade. She is also the head coach of the USD women's basketball team and the athletic director of Immaculate Conception Academy. Throughout her journey, she has always been an advocate for women empowerment in sports, which we'll find out more in today's episode. Without further ado, let's welcome Coach Haydee Ong.
Hello, good evening. First of all, thank you, Gold Diggers, Relly, Carlos, Roby, and Simon for inviting me here.
Yep, indeed. Of course, the feeling's mutual. It's also a huge honor to have you as our guest, especially given your role not only as a head coach, but as an advocate for women empowerment in sports. All right. Coach Haydee, you're familiar with what's happening right now with the UAAP. I mean, it's not really progressing given the pandemic. I mean, recently it has been mentioned by the commissioner that it will not push through in finishing off the season. So this gives us a question. I mean, tell us, Coach Haydee, what have you been up to lately?
Actually, at the start of the pandemic, it was really hard. I lost a family member, a loved one, and it's really sad during this pandemic. But we have to move on. We have to adapt. And with my teams during this pandemic, me and my coaching staff have to be creative. We do online training, Zoom every day. We do a limited skill development for our players, just dribbling, I guess, and then some conditioning and strengthening program. This is very hard for us because the uncertainty of when will the tournament will begin is uncertain. So we can just hope that this pandemic will end soon and the vaccine will soon arrive here in the Philippines so we can start back to training.
Oh, wow. I mean, you did mention the death of your relative, and we'd like to express our deepest condolences for her soul. You did mention that it's an adapting process, given the fact that this pandemic has deeply affected everyone. And we can clearly see how you've already shake everything up. Like you did mention some sort of online meetings with your players, and they could clearly learn something from your basketball experience. And speaking of this basketball experience, how did it begin? Like, how did you end up being involved in basketball? Go.
Actually, when I started playing basketball during my high school days in Chiang Kai-shek College, my mother was not in approval of this. And I used to tag along with my father because my father used to be a player of basketball. And then I finally sneak in on the tryout day. And then when I got accepted into the team, my mom has nothing but say, okay, you can go and play basketball. And then that's where my career started as a basketball player, Carlos.
So you have that fox in the box instinct. You know, you just sneak your way, and then all of a sudden, your mother suddenly approves of your career in basketball. And it's a good thing that you have that fatherly figure who would allow you to focus on that sport that you really love, which is basketball. And then all of a sudden, you have that approval from your mom. So it does give you that green light to push furthermore. And you know, looking back, if it weren't for that decision of yours to sneak up and then appear in the tryouts, we would never see you where you are right now. Like when you first, when you first ventured into the women's national team, there were some frustrating moments. So could you care to explain, your initial frustrations or your issues when you first ventured into coaching the women's national team?
I was given a break, I think 1998, as an assistant coach for the women's national team. That's where all my frustrations started. There was no or little support from the government or from private sectors. So we basically have to beg for our budget from the government or from the association that handles the basketball program for women's, which is the BAP back then. That was the frustration that I got into when I started coaching the national team. I think that gave me the motivation, that gave me the inspiration when I will handle the national team. If I will be given the opportunity to handle the team, I will make sure that all the frustrations that the athletes suffered before or experienced before will not be happening when it's under my tutelage.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's very commendable and noble at your end because given the fact that you've already witnessed the struggles of being involved in the women's basketball scene, your mindset is that I will not let this affect anyone else. I'm here to make a difference. And speaking of making that difference, that's what's going to be our main topic for today's discussion as my fellow gold diggers will further dissect. So Simone, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Hi, Coach Haydee. It's such a pleasure to have you here. And I just like to add, because I can so relate to your experience of like sneaking into practice, because my parents also didn't want me to play football before. So I had to hide my equipment and give it to my aunt so she could bring it to training. But I've been an admirer of you since I started coaching a few years back, and I've been hearing about the work that you've been doing. And you're currently the athletics director of Immaculate Conception Academy, and the head coach of Enderun women's basketball team, and the head coach of the UST women's basketball team. And you've also coached the Discovery-Perlas, and you've competed outside the country. And other than that, really is you've become a standard for women in basketball in the Philippines, and I believe it even goes beyond that. So I believe you're also a standard of Philippine sports. So that's a lot of time and commitment. And I'm just curious, what made it easier for you to take on all these different roles?
I think number one is being prepared. What do I mean by being prepared? You have to be knowledgeable inside and outside of what you're teaching your athletes. For me, being knowledgeable means that I have the knowledge, I have the understanding, and I have the wisdom to carry on the things that I will teach my students, my athletes, and my fellow coaches as well. Being prepared and being knowledgeable will give you confidence, and confidence that will give you competent to deliver the things that you need to deliver. What do I mean by competence as well? I think my competence comes from my past lessons, my present experience, which is, I think, every one of us, Simon, have a gift that should be, you should improve ourselves in our gifts that were given to us, and so that our future will be hopeful and successful. So I think that's main reason. And second, I think we should be a lifelong student. Meaning, as a coach, I never stop learning. I go outside the country. I send my teams outside for competition to see what's new with other countries. And I make sure that me, myself, I'll be productive. Like in the past, I think 3 years, I went to Duke for an internship for 3 weeks. And that gave me a lot of knowledge, a lot of systems that I can improve on my current teams.
It's so interesting that you had that experience to intern in Duke, and their program is one of it's world renowned. So we're curious also, like what's something that you learned in Duke that you brought back here to the Philippines?
One, I envied their facilities actually when I went there. How I wish that we could have that facilities, right? It's only a university, but their facilities is world class. How I wish we could have that. One is like that they are not selfish in giving out their knowledge. It has to be given, shared to everyone. And I think the hospitality is very important for them. And they acknowledge us there as an important person being there. They know that once we've learned something from them, we will share it to other people. Second, I think what I really learned in Duke and other countries that I've learned is that basketball is a science. It's continuously changing. You have to adapt on the changes. Now the big men or big ladies are shooting 3-point shots. Before we're not doing it, so it's totally evolving. Basketball is evolving, and I think in all other sports, this is the same thing that's happening.
What I love about what you shared is the importance of being a lifelong student, and that's also be like you accepting that you as a coach should also be coachable, and that your experience going outside of the country is also about the openness to learn more, and even knowing that there's something outside there that we can also aspire to and bring back here. And the fact that other than being prepared and knowledgeable also is the fact that that's important also to share what you've learned. So with all the different roles that you have, how did one role help in doing the other?
I think now it's not very challenging for me. Like when I go to UST and then in the evening I go to Enderun because I laid the foundation already. Being on a different hat as an athletic director for ICA, it was an adjustment only like the first year because I had to make their sports grow program grow because it's like ground zero as well. At the same thing with Enderun, but I think why I'm not in a hard position when I go to three different places. It's because for I think my passion and my purpose of the love that I have for the sport, for the basketball. I think that's the main reason, Simon.
So, I mean, you spend so much of your time in the court, in school, and you're almost 24/7 in sports. And with all these responsibilities, switching hats from coach to athletics director and running from one venue to another because of training and your work with the school plus running your business. And I can only imagine how many hours you even have to sleep during the day. So don't you ever feel spent doing all of that?
We're just human, Simon. I feel tired as well, but I really need a break. I need to have time, quality time with my family. I do a vacation when I needed to. So I really need a break when the feeling is there that you're so tired and there's no output coming out. So I really need a break for that. And I think what's nice with my staff is that I can leave them. They know what to do. I have the trust that they can do the job that I'll be leaving behind. So that's easier for me.
Yeah, the beauty of that is, like you said, you also mentioned about the foundation. So the fact that you have people you trust and people you trust who you're surrounded with, that even if you take a break, you know that whoever is there, I mean, your program's still left in good hands. So, I mean, you've gone through so many challenges, and I'm sure, I mean, the thing is with us women also in sports, other than the usual challenges that the regular coach would go through, the fact that women in sports and the opportunities for us are sort of different. There are a little bit more barriers for us for some reason. We're gonna expound more on that. So I'd like to call on RDV Robbie to talk about what it means for someone like you also to deal with these different things, and what is it that you actually did to be able to succeed. So Robbie, are you there?
Thank you, Sim and Coach Haydee. So I love that entire portion. So 3 things I picked up so far was I love the bit on being a lifelong student and on being prepared to push your own boundaries as well as the boundaries of your team in order to improve despite the busyness of your schedule. No, Coach, you're a very busy person. I like the bit on being ready even before you're called on for the task and doing the work to keep you competitive. And lastly, I noted also that it's what's notable about you, Coach Haydee, is that it's more important that you're very selfless because you even share what you learn outside there. You don't keep it to yourself, and you find that it's critical to grow the game, not just in your own team, but also maybe in the country, right? So let's talk about your coaching career a little bit more. So, Coach Haydee, what matters to you about when you build your team?
I think yung core values of the team, which I wanted to lay the foundation to, yung character for me is very important over winning games. The attitude over skills. So yun yung mga very important sa akin na core value when I recruit or building my team. Because I'm more of a process goal-oriented than performance goal-oriented kind of coach.
Got it. And you were mentioning to us before na even as early on in your recruitment strategy that this is done, no? So can you share us what goes into the style of recruitment that you do?
Yeah, I usually recruit when I watch players that I know that are very talented. I usually go opposite the bench because I want to see the body language, the facial expression of the player. So that is more important to me kasi Robbie. So that's why that's my style of recruiting players or athletes, especially in the palaro or in the provincial meet. Diba? So I really go opposite the bench so I can see everybody body language and facial expression. And more importantly, the attitude towards the game.
Got it, Coach. Because tama, no, it's in the body language and how the player behaves and how he approaches like the game inside and outside the court does matter. I totally get where that's coming from. You also mentioned that you put a strong emphasis on equity and equality. So tell us what you mean and what you do about this.
I really treat my athletes fairly, not equally. That's my motto. What do I mean by that? I'll give you an example, Robbie. For example, that player A usually have so many excuses why she is late or why she is absent during training. And player B is very diligent, doesn't have any absences, never been late. But one day, player A and B, did not attend the training. So the next day, for example, my consequence of not attending a practice is, for example, run 30 minutes. But I will not give the same punishment for player A and player B. Why? Because player B did it for the first time and player A did it for so many times. So that is the reason why I'm saying to you that I am treating my players fairly but not equally.
Got it. And I think that also lends itself in how you conduct yourself and your team when it comes to training and in matches. You shared with us that you're very particular about the way women's basketball is perceived in the way that you want it to be perceived equal to the men's game. Can you share something about that, Coach?
Yeah, when I started coaching the collegiate level, before every game, there's like a coaching huddle for our officials with the referees, and I always mention it to them that you have to treat the women basketball players as basketball players, same as the men's basketball players. You have to officiate fairly and will not mind that game is played by women basketball player, but instead played by basketball players.
What that tells me, coach, is that there's like a you're challenging the perception that, of course, women can only do so much. So, can you tell us what you perceive of women's basketball?
Because I think before when I used to play, my coaches will not teach me skills that they think that women players cannot do it. Only men can do it. But I'm just telling them, hey, coach, women players can dunk the ball already. So everything that the men can do, women can do as well. Sabi ko ganun.
I like
So I
that,
think
coach.
that yun yung perception na naiiba, Robbie.
Tama. And if and can you tell us how? Because from my understanding is that we've also done quite well in the recent history. Past history for women's basketball especially in the Southeast Asian level. So are you saying na kaya natin to compete pa rin at that high level similar to our men's?
Yes, I think given the opportunity, the exposure, and hopefully we're starting the women's professional league now. The women's basketball players have more experience, have more games to play. I think we can level up our skill level, our experience, and we can close in the gap with our Asian neighbors, our Asian countries for the women's basketball.
Agree, because you were saying sometime before your time, you were actually the champions, no, coach? And we seem to have dropped the ball for a moment, but I'm guessing you do believe na kayang-kaya natin na bawiin yun, ano, coach?
Yes, kayang-kaya natin. I think yung mindset natin should be changed na. Even not only for women's basketball, but in the whole as Philippine sports. We have to change that attitude, that mindset na when we compete in the international level, kaya natin. It's just a matter of believing in ourselves na kaya natin talunin itong mga ibang bansa na to.
Got it, coach. I agree, no? So in most cases nga, sometimes it's the women's sport pa that's closer to the top in the world rankings. I'd like to highlight nga in terms of football, the Philippine futsal women's team is actually doing quite well. I mean, in our time in the SEA Games before, they actually won the bronze medal. Going back naman to your experiences, coach, especially when you took your teams to external tournaments, no? You shared with us that you learned an important lesson in one of your exposures to the best teams in the world in your international trip. Can you share with us or with the audience that pivotal realization and what you did after that to take the team to the next level?
Yeah, when I was an assistant coach and then we competed in the FIBA Asia in Sendai, Japan. And during that time, the weather is really cold, nagsusnow sa Sendai. And we don't have, what do you call this? Warm clothes for the whole delegation. And remember, just the clothing itself, China, Korea, Japan, they are all having like complete sets of warm clothes or snow what do you call winter jackets for them. Kami, we have to like wear 5 t-shirts, 3 jackets for us to feel warm. So I think number one siguro when we go out as a national team, we have to look good and feel good so that we can play really really best. Kasi parang di pa nagsa-start yung competition, parang the mindset of the athletes, talo na kami. Diba? So that gave me a reason, a lesson that when I will handle the national team, these athletes will not feel that bad. Will feel that they are complete with their logistics, with their uniforms, so that they will feel good, look good, and play better.
That's great, Coach. No, so you actually mentioned in our pre-discussion na madami ka sinabi about how you really did your own work to improve the conditions of how you guys were managing the team. No, so can you share with us a little of that experience and how you took those learnings from your experience in Japan over to your handling of the women's national team? What did you do?
When I was given the opportunity, I was appointed the head coach of the national team Discovery-Perlas in 2007. The first thing that I really did was to find a private patron or private sponsor that will bankroll my program, my long-term program for women's basketball. And I am very happy and lucky that the Discovery Suite, headed by Mrs. Cynthia Tew, believed in our program and was able to help me out during my stint as the national head coach for Discovery-Perlas.
Right, and you were telling us that basically you did the work to ensure that you had the right funding to get the team what they needed, uniforms, housing, allowances, to ensure that all the team needed to do was to do their best day in day out, right? So that what that tells me is the entrepreneurial mindset that you built in there. But more importantly, it's really about how you wanted to change the environment in order for your team to have the best conditions for them to do their best. So that's great, Coach. Lastly, Coach, you speak a lot about how much effort you guys put into your trainings, and you constantly tell us that you want yourself and your team to be excellent every day, to do their best all the time. So how do you ensure that you are credible?
I think you have to walk the talk, be a role model to your athletes and to your fellow coaching staff. When I say your call time is 7 o'clock, I have to be there earlier than 7 o'clock. And at the end of my training time, which is 12 noon, I am the last person to leave the court. So I think that will be an inspiration and motivation to the whole team, not only to my coaches, but also to my athletes. And when I say walk the talk, do your best. We're not doing the best just during games. We work hard 24/7, 365 days. Pre-season, off-season, in-season. Okay, that's the part that is really, really hard. And then during games, okay, that's the time you enjoy and have fun because you're just ready just to do your best during games.
Got it. So excellent. Now, what I like about that, what we just talked about in our segment was how realizations can come from anywhere. And yours was in a vulnerable moment that really taught you the value of setting up the environment for success. And we know that, culture happens when you change the environment, because when you do, it makes it easier for you to be the best all the time. As you very well put it, Coach. And gusto ko lang isingit dito, no? Yung sinasabi ni Aristotle. I'm paraphrasing, but what he says is that the pursuit of excellence is excellence in the pursuit, or doing your best all the time. So, that's a good lesson learned from you, Coach Haydee. So thanks very much. And at this point, I turn you over to Relly. Relly?
Thank you, Robbie.
Thanks, Rob. Hey, Coach. Just say that I'm really enjoying this conversation that we're having, especially when you talk about how you deal with your players. Now, there's always this, can't help but feel that motherly love, no? In terms of, it's not dictatorial, but you really make sure that, if they're able to do it to their capacity, they can do it. You make sure that they are heard in terms of how they can be better. No? I wanna touch upon maybe the challenges, of your coaching career. So let's go back. So let's say, like what was mentioned earlier, your experience as a basketball coach has been filled with notable accomplishments, like of course leading Enderun from, what do you call it? I like to call it from zero to hero, diba? From a zero team, no experience, you've actually built it to actually becoming a champion team. And then, of course, let's say when you worked with the national team, winning the Siaba in 2010, and then, of course, silver medal finishes in 2011 and 2013 in the SEA Games. No? And, of course, I think the most recent, and I think highly notable is your finals appearance in the UAP against NU. But if you were to, dig deeper into the reason why you entered the coaching profession or why coaching is very important to you, you mentioned that it's more than just titles and medals, and this covers all levels, no, collegiate to the national team, but really more about the players. What do you mean by this? I mean, if we were to take, for example, let's say the loss to NU in the finals. I mean, as a feat in itself, reaching the finals. How were the players? How did you act upon it? Being able to reach, but not actually being able to win it.
Yeah. First, really, the program itself is not overnight. You have to work hard for it. Walang overnight na programa. You have to work hard for it. I have a quote kasi for me na, why players are more important than winning the character, diba? My quote is like, it is who we become in the process is more important than what we do and what we achieve. That's what I always tell my athletes, my coaches, that parang this is our philosophy, this is our culture here, that what we become as a person, okay, is more important, really, for me, than winning championships.
And I think that's the most important philosophy that a player could actually receive, no? I mean, it kind of eases the pressure. It eases the pressure na parang kailangan natin manalo, di ba? Win or lose, di ba? But for you, it kind of eases it up. It kind of takes playing basketball to a different level of what you can actually get out of it, out of playing sports. And I've experienced that also with my coach, and I'm 100% sure that like your players right now who have actually graduated or now working or are out in the real world, they actually take this to mind, that you do your best. It's who you become, diba? And how you can accomplish it. And it's all rooted in what you learn through sports and through you. And I think that's a really crucial element as part of your coaching profession. Now, touching on your stint naman as a head coach for the national team, I think Robbie, we were talking about this with Robbie. You took over the national team as head coach, but you can't say it was handed to you on a silver platter. Yung as is where is yan. Budget, diba? You have to figure out your own way. Diba? And some coaches, will just work with what is given to them. Diba? Kasi yun lang wala na tayong magagawa diba? Even to the point lang, kung makalaro lang, sige lang. Diba? I mean, sometimes, na dehado ka, but sige, laro na lang tayo. Kasi andyan diba? Wala na tayong magagawa. But for you, it was different. You took a look at your team and you told yourself, this needs to change. What is it that you yourself did differently? And more importantly, I think you answered the what, but why did you do it? When no one else would, and just play with what is dealt, you just said, no, the buck stops here. I have to do it. I have to make the change.
Yeah. First muna why. I think that's my deeper why. That's the reason why I accepted the challenge, the job as the national team, because I really want to change the culture that I've experienced from being an athlete, being an assistant coach, and now as an head coach. I want to change that. And siguro, why do I accept it? Second reason ko siguro is matapang ako I'm courageous talaga. I think being courageous, you can exercise greatness and goodness at the same time. Sa akin, very important yan. So, sa pagiging matapang ko, nabago ko yung kultura ng women's basketball here in the Philippines. So, my passion, my purpose, and I think my courageousness in accepting the task given to me.
And I think that boils that goes way back to how you grew up diba? The learning to be independent, to be resilient, knowing that when you're faced with a problem, you're able to find that solution. And it's kind of envious for us, at an early age you're learning that. While it's some people just have that, and it's a part of life that actually makes you stronger. And as it is, you're way ahead already of the game. Na parang that's why as you get older, it's easy for you. You're able to adjust, no. So so even early in your life, like what I said, you've already experienced a lot of barriers. Entry in sports, demand, your parents not agreeing, but eventually they did. But despite that, you've shown again, you've gone through that, passed it to make it a positive change for yourself, for your family, and for your players. What is the secret to getting all these achievements?
Wala siguro, no, I don't have any secret, really. For me talaga, the love for the sport, the love for basketball, that fuels me every day. And then, nag-expand siya, na-transfer ko siya. Because of that love, we made a relationship sa team ko. Okay? When I say the relationship, we love each other, we care for each other. I think that goes beyond basketball. After basketball, you still have that relationship, you still have that love and caring, and the journey will still keep moving. My legacy will still be there, even if I will not be coaching UST or Enderun anymore. But I think yun nga, the love for the sport, the relationship that you have with your team, with your former athletes, your present athlete, and your future athletes will remain.
And I think the most important thing that you mentioned also is caring. Caring for the sport and for those people surrounded by it. No, and I think that's the reason why you progress to making sure that women's basketball will actually reach a certain level. I think at this point you're working now on a professional league, consulting for that one, and I think that's already a testament that you're gonna go all out, no, for love of basketball, and not only for basketball, but the lesson here is that if you love something that you're truly passionate and that you believe in, you will go all out for it. You will take your risk, and this. So that's it. That's very very inspiring, very insightful, and I hope our viewers have actually taken notes on this one. So now I will turn you over to Carlos for to summarize everything.
Thank you, Relly.
Coach Haydee, given what you've been through, given how you started to break barriers with the way you dealt with your mother's disinterest for you getting involved into basketball, all the way to you trying to knock into the doorstep of the women's basketball scene, and then convincing everyone that things need to change. If you want to improve, something has to be done. And you're not like others who will just be sitting back or just relaxing. You'll be like, I also have to make some sort of solid contribution so that others could actually follow through my cause. So given your story, given what you've been through, from the highs to the lows, may I ask, what are your 3 tips for changing the culture? All right, go.
One, I think, is we have to be prepared and be knowledgeable in everything that we're going to do. Second tip for me is doing your best all the time. For me, doing your best is excellence. So whatever might be the result, if it's a winning result or a losing result, the important thing is you always do your best. And lastly, Carlos, my third tip is I think be courageous in your passion and in your purpose.
All right, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. 3 of the most important tips coming from Coach Haydee Ong. First is to be prepared. Second is doing your best, no matter the situation. And third is being courageous. All right, so Coach Haydee, I know you're going to be very, very interested with our next segment, which is none other than Crunch Time. So the rules of Crunch Time, well, you've witnessed the previous episodes, is basically us asking some simple questions, and you're going to be responding some quick responses. No need to explain unless if you want to. So, Coach Haydee, I think you're geared towards our next segment. Are you ready?
Yes, ready.
All right. There, that's called being courageous right there. Okay. Here we go in a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First question. Man-to-man or zone defense?
Man-to-man.
Man-to-man. Okay, so you and Coach Jong have like some similarities. All right, so man-to-man. Okay, next. Pick and roll or isolation play?
Pick and roll.
Pick and roll. An advocate for team-based basketball. Okay, I like that. All right, next. Beyond the arc or inside the paint?
Beyond the arc.
Beyond the arc. Oh, you like the modern game, huh? Raining threes. Yeah,
Yes.
I find that entertaining as well. Like every time I watch the Golden State Warriors, shooting everywhere. I love that. All right, next.
Yes, but because in women's basketball, you need that. We don't have like 6'6" players that can dominate the paint. So that's our game, really.
Yeah. I mean, of course, you have to adapt to what you have in your team. So might as well go beyond the arc and start raining threes. All right, next. Goal orientation or process orientation?
Process orientation.
Process orientation. All right. What is Coach Haydee's pre-game mantra or your favorite pre-game mantra?
Pre-game mantra, oh, dami. Every game I have different mantra writing on the board. I'll do with my tip. Just do your best and have fun.
Just do your best. Oh, okay. So just some very minimalistic approach there, but it does speak volumes towards your players. All right. Next, athleticism or shooting?
Can I have both?
You can have both.
Shooting for women's, yeah.
Shooting for women.
There are a few athletic female.
I see. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next, how about this one? Game-winning chase down block or game-winning half-court shot?
Chase down block because I am a defensive coach. I want a chase down blocks.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I like that. I mean, of course, swatting the ball to the backboard. Yes. My God, that's actually something beautiful to watch. All right, next. A mediocre yet calm player or a talented but extremely emotional player?
Talented and emotional.
Wow, okay. I'm shocked because, you mentioned like you're more inclined for a level-headed athlete or someone that doesn't show emotion. But okay, interesting choice right there. All right, next. Who is your favorite women's basketball player?
Local?
Local or international?
I might say local, my players in Discovery-Perlas, and international is Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi.
Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi. Of course, the legends of the WNBA. Okay, next. Who is your most memorable coach?
A lot. But I think my collegiate coach, Coach Orly Bauzon, and Coach Peketan.
Okay, so I think that's where you got your words of wisdom as well as your approach in terms of coaching. All right, next. What is the most emotional moment of your career?
When I won the Siaba Championship.
Oh, wow, that's definitely a highlight. I mean, are you going to cry after that? Oh, no, just kidding. All right. we're still waiting for the first episode. We're a guest. We'll finally cry. Okay, but this is not the one. Okay, I can clearly see it. All right, next. So, given that that's the most emotional moment of your career, would that be considered as your biggest achievement?
I think so, because that's the first international gold medal for women's basketball in 30 years.
Oh, yeah, that is definitely, without a doubt, one of the highlights of your career. You definitely have to put that on the upper echelons of your achievements. Okay, so we're done with some sports-related questions, and now we're going to the other side of Miss Haydee Ong. Okay, so first question, Miss Haydee. What is your favorite sport other than basketball?
Lawn tennis.
Lawn tennis. Yeah, you did mention that you were trying tennis other
Yeah.
than basketball. Okay,
Yes.
next. Favorite school?
UST. And
US,
Enderun.
USD and Enderun. Okay, so the college schools. All right, I see. All right, next. What is your favorite food?
Sinigang. I like
Sinigang.
Filipino food. Yeah, sinigang. Whether sinigang na hipon, sinigang na isda, or basta sinigang, I like it.
I see.
I love it.
Yeah, that's also my favorite Filipino food because I just like the sourness of the meat. Oh my God. It brings a lot of joy in my eyes. Okay, next. What is your favorite family pastime?
Eating together.
Eating together. I see. So that's like your bonding moments where you get to learn a lot about them. Okay. All right, next. What is Coach Heidee's language of love?
Just staring at them.
Just staring at them. Okay.
During games, they know that already, Carlos. Later on in the dugout, the love will be felt.
Okay, so it's more about eye-to-eye contact,
Yeah.
kind of like there's some sort of element of mystery involved. Okay, you got to read through my eyes, all right? Okay, next. What is your favorite prayer?
Personal prayer.
Any? All right,
Okay.
go.
We always pray the rosary actually every night, especially during this pandemic. So I think the rosary is our favorite prayer.
The rosary is your favorite prayer. I see. All right. Okay, next. Expressing your emotions or keeping a level head?
Sometimes I do express my emotions during games.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't ignore your emotions during games. I mean, oftentimes when the pressure is there,
Yes.
yeah, you really have to
And
release it.
especially with good officiating.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay. I mean, yeah, it's part of coaching, when the referee makes a bad decision, sometimes
Yeah.
you go bonkers. Some even get ejected for it. Have you been ejected before or?
Yes, I was.
Oh. I
I
mean,
think twice. Yeah, twice.
twice?
Twice
Okay.
only in my career.
For your entire career. Oh, that's pretty good. I mean,
Yeah, pretty decent.
yeah. I mean, it's part of every coach's bucket list to get ejected, at some point of their career. So, all right, next. Senator Kiko or Cynthia Chu?
Cynthia too.
Cynthia Chu, okay. I mean, her role for the women's basketball team, it can't be denied. All right. Okay. Last question is, what is Coach Heidee's favorite quote?
Leave a heartprint in every heartbeat that you encounter.
Nice. All right. There you go. I mean, the heart speaks a lot with that answer right there. All right. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That wraps up Crunch Time. But before we formally end the show, we would like to express what we have in store in not upcoming weeks, but of course, our second season. So Simone, Relly, and Robbie, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Guys, fellow diggers, thank you for joining us again tonight. Again, it's our last episode, and it was quite an enjoyable episode with Coach Haydee. Please do stick around. We're gonna take a break. We'll be back next year in 2021. It's gonna be it's a great lineup, but it's gonna be a secret, so we won't tell you now. But please do join us next year, and again, keep digging and happy holidays. Sim.
Thanks again, Coach Haydee, for joining us today. And also, thank you for all that you done and continue to fulfill. And we hope for all the best for you and your efforts. Now, to our teammates, thanks again for joining us today. We hope you could share with us on Facebook your thoughts and what you learned from this episode and tag the Gold Diggers PH. Or you could simply share posts or comment on our video uploads on Facebook and YouTube. And we'd really love to hear from you guys and find out more about what you think of the show. And thank you also to everyone who has followed us on our Facebook page and subscribed to our YouTube page. We're happy to announce that our Facebook page has reached 1,000 followers, and we are very grateful for your support and know that your support keeps us going. And like I mentioned earlier, this is the last episode for the first season, but stay tuned and follow our page to find out what we have in store for our second season. And so happy holidays and take care always, and see you, teammates. RDV?
Thank you, Sim. So to our guest, Coach Haydee, your life story so far has been one of breaking barriers and of positive change. And we thank you so much for the time, the wisdom, and the experience that you shared with us and for the rest of our listeners. So thanks to personalities like you, Coach, there's a lot to look forward to in women in sports, and especially for basketball. And we wish you and the community the best of luck moving forward. Now, off to our teammates, it's the most wonderful time of the year, and we're happy to share that our efforts with Pitch in PH and our partner, Oakland, California-based Chunky Butt Ice Creamery, have been a huge success. So Chunky Butt was able to raise $3,000 in an effort to support our friends over at bata.ph, who are helping out communities in Marikina who were affected by Typhoon Ulysses. But we're also happy to announce that we will also be helping out our teammates over at Rock Ed Philippines with their Rock Ed relief efforts over at Cagayan Valley, Tuguegarao, and the Maximum Security Prison with their Rock the Rejas initiative. So more details on this on our Facebook page. So thank you very much for your generosity. So lastly, the year may be ending, but our fundraising does not. So please continue to help out our fellow Filipinos who are most in need. Please follow our Facebook page for more details on how you too can learn how to pitch in for PH. Now, over to the woman of the hour, Coach Haydee Ong, your final message for this episode.
Okay, first, congratulations, Gold Diggers, in your first season, and thank you for inviting me here. And happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. My last message would be, if you are passionate with a purpose, the first important thing is to have the courage to take the first step. And the doing will take over. And if you are prepared and doing your best, you will never have time to worry about failures. Consistency will always lead to excellence. With all this in mind, you can make a big difference in their lives or in our lives. So thank you once again for having me here in Gold Diggers.
All right, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That wraps up our session for today. Thank you so much, Coach Haydee Ong, for being part of our guest. So, I mean, it's been a rock and roll first season. We really learned a lot. Once again, my name is Carlos Pineda, and this is Gold Diggers. Remember to dream, dig in, and win. Enjoy the holidays. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. See you next time on our next episode on our next season.